When we began this video program, this year's seniors were about to become freshmen in high school. And in that time, they've made a name for themselves amongst their peers, with the staff in their buildings, and in many cases, far, far beyond the walls of their schools. In this, our first episode for the class of 2020, we travel to Lincoln High School, where one senior will be leaving a legacy of leadership behind as future doors continue to open for him. In the August heat leading to the first games of the season, Lincoln Patriots football practices are long and difficult, but no one is complaining.
Very optimistic, that's for sure. The attitude is great. The kids are very hardworking and really they're hungry to turn this thing around and get it going. That's for sure. Just more energy, I think. Just better product on the field. I really like where our offense is right now. In this stage of the game and defense. I'm just really optimistic right now. It's going to be good. If we can stay away from injuries, we'll be as good as anybody.
Successful seasons need successful leadership, and that's exactly what Lincoln has in the class of 2020.
They have to walk the walk and not just talk the talk, and they've been really good because our leaders right now, our seniors, are some of our hardest working kids. And so if you want to be a leader, you got to be at the tip of the spear. And you got to be the first one in drills and the first one in sprints and all that. And we have a lot of those kids right now in place.
Senior Johnathan Smith is one of those leaders.
I love John. He's one of our leaders, and he's one of our guys that, he walks the walk as well as talking the talk. And so, maybe even not even talking so much. He's just a leader. And so when things need to be said, he says it. And he's well liked, he's well respected by all of his peers, and there's no doubt that he's one of our leaders that really stands out for us.
His enthusiasm for the game, for his team, is contagious.
We're really excited. Last couple of years, obviously our record hasn't reflected, I think, what kind of team we are. And you can attribute that to whatever. You can attribute it to injuries. You can attribute it to people not buying in. But I think this year is when everything's really clicking. That's the feeling amongst the seniors, but also I think when it trickles down, that we're working toward a common goal. It's not an individual agenda anymore, and we're all united under Freddie. Because for a while there, it was you had people that still held the ideals of the last coaching staff, people that were trying to buy in, and there was some tension there. But I think now this is really Fredenberg's team. And these are people that have bought into that culture.
And that's good, because he has a big job this year.
John's playing defensive tackle, and then he'll be playing on the offensive line also. So one of our two kids that are probably going to be two-way players. And so we're trying not to get him going both ways, but he's really good. So yeah, so we're going to try to limit him a little bit. But he's been doing a great job so far, and he's so smart too, and so it's a lot of information that he's getting both on the offense and defensive side, and many people have done it before, but he's doing it at a pretty high rate. He had kind of a coming out year last year. He played really well for us on the defensive line and garnered some college interest, and so. He's just big. He had a great offseason in the weight room, and we're expecting him to just be an anchor for us, really somebody that keeps us grounded, keeps us pointing in the right direction, and just that constant leadership and just being aware of his surroundings and the pulse of the team and doing what's needed to get done when I don't even have to tell him. And so that's what's really great about him.
Playing both ways on an 11 AAA team is a hint at his versatility, but it certainly doesn't encapsulate his abilities. Let's take a look at a few of his summer activities as a starting point. There was football, yes.
Well, we had a youth camp and where we had a bunch of elementary kids out here, and he came to everything, and he was one of the guys that was really instrumental, and he just works. He's just so mature, and so you talk to him. And he's comfortable in his own skin. He knows what he wants to do. He knows how to do it, and he goes after it. And he's very genuine. When he's working with the young kids, he genuinely appreciates that they're here. He wants to help them. He wants to be that guy that they look up to. And he doesn't shy away from that too. He wants to be a role model. He wants to be the type of guy that will help you with a flat tire, or boost your battery with jumper cables, and he gives rides to kids that need to and from school and from practice. He's just that type of guy.
But then there was also South Dakota's Senior Honor Choir, the best vocal musicians in the state performing together.
I'm a choir kid, and I've been doing honor choirs since when I can remember. I've been doing it since 6th grade. I did the South Dakota ones, but then I've also done ACDA, which is the National kind of Choral Association. I've done some honor choirs there too. Those were great opportunities, but the honor choir in South Dakota is special because you have these kids that you've known forever, and you've known them through the choral world. You've known them through, I see football players that I play against. I see kids that I was in, theater things, oral interpretation, that kind of stuff. But they all come together in one place. And for 5 days, you just are hanging with the people, making great music, obviously, and that's, the point. But it's also building those relationships with people across the state, which I think is just, when I look back, that's kind of one thing that's been important to me, is not just focusing on Sioux Falls, focusing on people from all over.
There was also Boys State in Aberdeen, where this happened.
And your 2019 Boys State Governor is Governor Smith. First name, Johnathan. Lieutenant Governor is handing the door.
I successfully ran for governor. I had a lot of fun. It was, something that I knew would be a challenge. And that's, as we're kind of getting into the end of my high school career, things kind of settle out. Things are kind of set, not necessarily set in stone, but you have more of a feel for what kind of things you're going to be doing, what kind of, challenges you're going to face. With Boys State, it was something that, I knew a little bit about, but I didn't know the amount of effort that it would take. But so I got to Boys State, and immediately I made some really good friends within my city. I was a city of Houston, so I was pretty proud of that. But so I ran for mayor of Houston, won that, and then within that city I made some connections. I made some people that were interested in running for Supreme Court positions, were interested in running campaigns, that kind of stuff. And so over the next kind of couple of days, I kind of figured out maybe I could test the water, see if I could run for governor. And then with those people, with the people that were helping my campaign, and they were from all over the state, which is cool. I eventually decided, I'm running for governor. And then over the next 2 days, it was campaign. Say hi to everybody you know, everybody that you don't know, shake hands as they're walking through the door, that kind of stuff. But what I was fortunate with was the amount of people that, believed in what I was trying to do, believed in, the campaign message. And so we were fortunate that we had kids, even from other cities, that were, getting the word out, getting people who I had not even spoken to yet, saying, this kid he could do something. And so I was just really appreciative that the people, buy into a message and really go for it.
Before the summer even started, he played the lead in Lincoln's spring 2019 production of Beauty and the Beast.
I'm a theater kid, so I do some plays and some musicals.
He is currently not only Lincoln's Student Council president, but also the region's president, National Honor Society, Best Buddies. He was recommended as a student to be interviewed about the A+ program at Eugene Field Elementary, so last spring he was also featured in a Sioux Falls School District video about that.
Eugene Field is an example for all the other elementary schools on what a solid foundation in the arts can do for a kid. Because I've been able to succeed in high school and middle school, and I'm confident that I'm going to be able to succeed in years ahead. But I think that I really gained that confidence, and I gained the ability to do that through those extra hours of art education and music education.
He's a leader in all facets, you know. He's a 4.0 student. He's in, you know, he was elected governor at Boise State. Our student council, he's so involved. He's involved in choir and the plays, and so, you know, when we see him, you know, he's just John, he's just one of us, but, you know, he represents us so well as far as, you know, some people are going to see him and say, oh, that's John Smith, he's the football player, he's that guy, he's number 79. You know, where other people are going to go, oh, that's John Smith, oh yeah, he plays football, but boy, you should hear him sing. And, you know, other people are like, oh, that's the guy that had to lead in the play last year, oh, he plays football, oh, that's awesome, you know, and you know, just all the things he does in the community. When we do some community service projects, and he's always there, and he's just that special kid.
Oh, and in his spare time, he is also taking a full load of high school classes, which include 3 advanced placement classes like this AP Latin course with 2019 Teacher of the Year Lynn Thomason, who John credits for helping him pack 4 years of Latin into 3.
Miss Thomason has really been a rock in my life. I had started Latin my sophomore year, and I didn't think I was going to do 4 years of it. I mean, really, you can't. You got 3 years left. But about halfway through the first semester of Latin 1, she introduced this thing where you could work ahead if you wanted to make it to AP Latin. And, you know, I said, well, I'm feeling pretty good. Let's do it. And so from that point on, it was a lot of independent study, a lot of, you know, working on your own. But she was always there if I needed a question. Always there if I had something that did not make sense. And believe me, there's times in Latin where things don't make sense. So to have somebody like Miss Thomason is great. But then I actually completed 3 years of Latin in 2 years, by working over the summer, you know, working at advanced pace. And it was tough. It was really, really hard a lot of the time when you're trying to balance everything else that you're doing, you know, but then you got to remember, you got to get going on Latin. You got to get going. And that was something that she reminded me of. And I don't know if without her I would have been doing that. You know, if I would have, you know, conceded to being, all right, well, I'm not going to make it. Let's go back to regular Latin, you know. But I'm in AP Latin today, and there's a reason for that, and I think it's Miss Thomason.
His daily schedule also includes choir and chamber choir, where he fills more leadership roles.
The choir program here at Lincoln, I think we're sitting around 250, 260 as far as the baseline, and then with our ensembles, some of the kids we see twice, so then we would roughly see maybe 400 a day. We have 3 large choirs and 6 select ensembles, and we're very much skill-driven here. I'm a huge advocate of literacy and how it can open your world, and a lot of those skills can transfer to real life, where we're continually trying to encourage kids to audition for things and to really put themselves out there and personally, you know, develop them as well as collectively. So that's kind of the mindset we have, that skills and hard work will get you everywhere. We rely heavily on our seniors for leadership, and one thing that we emphasize here is, yes, we love music, but we really want our students to become active, positive citizens no matter what they do, no matter where they go. And so for us, it's a lot about character as well. And so we rely on our seniors to kind of foster that culture, but also to lead and take the younger ones underhand and make them feel included and that they're part of the choir family, and they really become mentors for them, and those younger kids just really look up to them. So we do rely heavily on the leadership team. Sometimes I give them specific jobs and hopefully playing to their strengths, and then they go from there, and it's huge. They can just jump in and help us so much, because a lot of times with these events we do need help. Jonathan has been a great leader. Since he came as a freshman, he has had just incredible people skills and kind of leadership skills beyond his years already. And he's really used them for positive. He was a leader already, a section leader last year as a junior, and not very often have we done that, but he's just had such a gift in that area, and he relates well to all of the guys and the girls as well, but he kind of rallies them. I've seen him when things are down and tough, he'll be like, come on, let's get this, let's do this. And he kind of brings everybody up, and he just sets a good example. He's the type that, he'll listen, and you can see he's thinking through it, but he's not intimidated to ask for a clarification, whereas some kids, they don't necessarily understand what you're asking for, but they won't say anything. But he's the type that will, he'll raise his hand and ask for clarification, not just for him, but for his whole section. He's also one where I've given him some pretty nitpicky feedback during musical, and he really, really listens and implements it. And he has that gift of listening as well as talking, because he's a very personable guy, and sometimes kids that can talk don't necessarily have that skill of listening, but he's definitely got natural leading ability, and we're just really fortunate that he wants to lead, and he leads positively, and he's been awesome for our program. He'll do well whatever he does and wherever he goes, because he has those leadership skills and those people skills.
Being a leader here is far from a chore for him.
It's been a stable part of my life. It's been a thing that I can always rely on. Because, sometimes with activities, like football, there's a lot of give and take there. You could end up really good, you could end up really bad. And I suppose that choir has some of those similar qualities, but choir is someplace where you can go and use a talent that you either have worked on or were gifted, or both. And it's a place where you can go and not feel as much pressure to perform, but enough pressure that you're still, involved in the class. It's a place where I can take a breather if I need to, while still doing something I enjoy and still working hard. I think that that's what choir at Lincoln is all about, is having that good mix between, the enjoyment of singing, which I think is just important for any choral singer, but it's also working hard without working hard. It's feeling like, this is what we're doing, and it's not hard at all, when really it's really hard techniques that you're working on. But it's just that ease that comes with it. And so that's been a welcomed part of my life for the last 4 years.
Managing classes and activities may seem like a balancing act, but John insists it's not hard when you love it.
I've never been around a kid like this before that's so busy and just involved in everything, and he's got to say no. That's been a challenge too, because he's had to say no to things, and sometimes it's no to the football, and sometimes it's no. It's like, okay, I have this choir thing, but I have this football thing, and I really want to be here. How do I tell her that I'm not going to choir? And things like that, and so. It's tough, but those lessons learned in the teenage years are really good and are going to serve him well in his adult life, that you're not going to please everybody, and you're not going to, be able to say yes to everything either and stuff. And I think that's one thing that adults struggle with. I know for me, you try to be a people pleaser, you try to, appease things, but sometimes you just can't. And he realized that, and he's just so mature about stuff. It's great.
I feel like one of Lincoln's biggest strengths is that they've figured out the schedule so that kids can do so many different things and try different things and be involved rather than forcing them to make a choice. And I feel like the Lincoln staff here has just really been great about solving conflicts amongst each other. And we have a ton of kids that are in athletics, that are in band, that are in theater, And we like those kids that are super involved, and it makes them good at a lot of things when they get tastes of different things. And I just feel like it's a win-win situation when we can, email each other as a staff and say, hey, we have this conflict. How can we make it work for both of us?
I think Ms. Conrad, our choir teacher, said this. They'll share you. Lincoln wants people to be involved. And that's something that I've been fortunate because I've taken full advantage of it. I don't think I've really had, I think maybe one or two instances where things have overlapped where it was, there created tension. But other than that, it's been, oh, you want to be involved in theater? Sure, here, go lift in the mornings. Football, that's what you wake up at 6, go lift, shower at school, you get your afternoon workout done, and then you go to theater practice. I've never really had an issue with trying to do all the things that I've done. Sure, it's been difficult, but I think, you can expect difficulty. And when you're doing things that you love, it's not as difficult as it seems. It's not hard to wake up at 6 if you know you got a goal that you're working towards. It's not hard to stay after school until 7 if you got something that you're working hard on.
This positive attitude and work ethic combined with confidence and ability are why he's being recruited for college football teams while continuing his search for a university. But wherever his degree comes from, his ideal career path may not surprise you.
Political science and international relations are two things that interest me a lot. Political science definitely came from my dad. He's pretty active in the political scene. But I actually got to help because the first campaign he ran for District 15 representative for the South Dakota House, I got to help on, and I was hooked because people don't understand. I mean, there's the whole politics, being the face of stuff. That's cool or whatever, but there's so much behind the scenes work, so much, going out, meeting people, knocking on doors, giving phone calls, and I did all of it. But those little behind the scenes things are just as interesting as what you see, like on the TV. It's political science. You can do a lot of things with it. One thing I've thought about is working on campaigns, trying to figure out, work my way into that system. So hopefully, because eventually I want to run for some sort of office. I know I got to do something before I do that. I can't just throw myself in there. I got to make those connections, do that, do all the work I need to so I can get to that point. But the international relations side of it, I always think it'd be cool to work at the UN. I mean, there's so much that goes on there. So much, the US has its own problems it needs to fix, but global issues are it's just such a so much wider scale that it'd be something I haven't experienced yet. And that's really exciting because you want to try things that you haven't tried yet.
He might be running for president someday. And he'd have my vote, that's for sure. And so, he's very cognizant of his surroundings and both, in touch with, the place that he's living in and then also the future. And then he also looks at the past and said, hey, listen, we're not gonna make those same mistakes. And, just special kid.
Not surprisingly, he has a strong support system at home, which he thoughtfully cherishes.
Both of my parents are awesome. My dad, Jamie, he can get busy too, and that's the thing. We're all really busy people. My mom, my dad, my brother, and I. We're all super involved. So I think that what comes with that is a, understanding of how these things may make you feel. The emotions that you're feeling when you're, I'm being stretched thin. I'm feeling all this, and you can confide in each other for that, which is a good thing. I mean, for any parent, but it's also a good thing for a parent to a kid. To have that kind of open relationship where you don't feel ashamed to share those kind of things, share what you're feeling. So it's just been awesome. My mom, Kirsten, she's a librarian at Edison, and so it was good in middle school because there are sometimes in middle school where you feel that transition is tough. So to have somebody there, especially my mom, that I could go and say, I'm not feeling so hot. What do I need to do? Was awesome. So I think that really prepared me for where I am now. And then I can go home and, sometimes all of us are home. Sometimes none of us are home. But it's that knowledge that if you need somebody, they'll be there. that I think keeps me going. It's really, really special for me this year because my little brother, he's a freshman, and he's a huge theater kid, loves it, and I haven't had the opportunity really to be in a lot of shows with him. Last time I think I was in a play with him was, it's got to be when I was like 9 or 10. So to have that opportunity to do something that we both love together is, I mean, I can't describe it. It's something that I've wanted to do for years, and now we have the opportunity to do.
There's a self-awareness and humility that is infectious, and he's leaving an impact in every corner of Lincoln High School and South Dakota where he's involved.
But so to be involved in all these activities, it really makes it crucial that you schedule your time. Really crucial that you set aside time for schoolwork, for these activities, but also for your personal well-being. You have to have times where you say, well, you know, I will write that paper, but right now I need to take a breather. Right now I need just an hour of me. So that's really important.
Some of that time for him is devoted to making music with his friend Garrett Masters, who together comprise Shoot the Moon. This is one of their original songs.
Bound by the way you kiss me, so gently I am falling through fields of black roses. Holy Moses set me free.
They'll perform live again soon at the 2019 Homecoming Variety Show. Through an intense and incredibly successful high school career, he's never lost sight of what's truly important.
So I was fortunate enough to be elected captain, or one of our 4 captains. And one thing that comes along with that is, I mean, obviously, you know, motivating the team, you know, breaking the team down, telling them, all right, boys, let's if they're walking, you know, let's jog, you know, that kind of stuff. Motivation, but it's also doing little things that people don't notice. It's giving rides to kids that don't have rides. It's, you know, if you see somebody that's down or they're feeling bad because they messed up and, you know, they got a talking to about it, you go over and say, hey, I did that too. You know, we all do that. It's not how you've messed up in the past, it's how you're gonna fix it in the future. And so that kind of, being that person for those people to come to, I think is really vital for our football team, because football is a tough sport, both emotionally and physically. And if you have somebody that you can confide in, I think that's a really important job.
He embodies that Lincoln spirit. He's positive. He's kind of like, let's get this done when the chips are down, you know. And he's willing to try things. He's willing to take feedback. He's willing to like say hello to other people and include them. And I think that's kind of the Lincoln way as far as encouragement and positive. I think he embodies that, and he's figured it out, and he's doing it at student level and kind of mimicking what we are all trying to do at the teacher level, you know. He just like, oh, he gets it, and so he just runs with it, and it's awesome.
No matter where he's at, he's going to give his best, and he's going to give, you know, it all to whatever he's in. And you know, he's very dedicated to his academics, and just he's got to be such a good steward of his time to keep all the grades, to be involved in everything that he does, and he just seems to handle it so well and just so well rounded. It makes me jealous as a 50-year-old on how he manages his stuff.
One thing that I think that I'm trying to leave behind is there is a way to succeed while being kind. You know, a lot of my motivation for things I do is to develop those relationships and develop those good relationships. I think that, you know, kindness is something that just goes so unnoticed sometimes, and that's okay, because if you're laying that foundation, if you're saying a kind word to somebody, they're gonna say it to somebody else. You know, it's that kind of chain of events. And so I think that kind of developing that culture, a culture of kindness, a culture of respect, which I think we possess at Lincoln, but I think it can always be, you know, improved. And so that's something that I strive to, you know, represent in all of my activities, is to be that, you know, that force of positivity, that hopefully other people, and I'm sure that other people are, participating in and picking up on, and hopefully that'll spread throughout all of our activities.
It's been such a joy to have him, and he's just going to do fabulous. I mean, no, he's going to be successful no matter what he decides to do and where he goes, because he has a hard work ethic. He's a people person. He rallies the troops. It's just, he's an encourager. I've seen him encourage. He's got a sense of humor that's really fun too. So he's just an all-around great kid.
I think John's legacy, with the thing that I hope is that, that you can be an athlete and you can be in the choir, you can be in the play, and you're still who you are, and you can go out here and knock heads and get dirty and all that stuff and still go and sing and still be a thespian and do all those things that you enjoy doing. You don't have to say no to this and yes to this. You can do it. You just got to value your time and what's important and what isn't. And I hope the young kids see him as somebody that, is a leader, but yet is a leader in such a right way. And, he leads more with love than he does chewing people out, and it's something that we try to preach. Like you can gather more with honey than you can with vinegar. And so, and he's just the epitome of that. And I hope that the younger kids see that you can be a gentle giant and still get it done on the football field and be a good teammate and treat people the way that all people want to be treated. And that's John. I mean, he's friends with his senior friends, and he'll go down to a freshman and give high fives and make them feel like they're appreciated because he's genuine that way. And you don't find that very often in somebody that's a teenager. And that's what I hope the young kids learn from John.
The Patriots football season is just getting underway. You can also see Johnathan in a number of choir concerts throughout the year, as well as winter and spring theater productions. To learn more about Lincoln activities and to see the dates and times for all of these events, check out Lincoln's page from the Sioux Falls School District's website.